okay, like I said, you can't just walk in a cigar shop and buy one, very rarely. However, with the internet today, there are a lot of sites that carry Opus X. You know, it is a brand, one of the few non-Cuban brands that is counterfeited sometimes, but I wouldn't really worry about getting counterfeits online unless you're trading and you're not from the U.S. and they're scumbags. I don't know, but I've seen them online. I've never personally seen a fake Opus X. So yeah, 2 or 3 times a year they're delivered, usually right before Thanksgiving and right before Christmas, and then once in the summer, June or July. You know, and the reason people, and this is another reason people hate the cigar, because they can't get the cigar. People often hate things that are out of their price range or things that they can't get. You know, there's this book on Cuban cigars by MRN, Minron Ni, coming out. If you know him, don't know him. Anyway, the book it's an amazing work. And I'm not going to talk much about it right now, but it's a good example of people bash the shit out of it because the book is very expensive. It's like $1,500, you know, but it's the guy's life work. There's only 2,000 copies. There will be a second printing of another 2,000 copies. Even if he sold 4,000 copies at $2,000 a piece, it really doesn't make him the money spent on time and photography. Not that he wasn't having fun, but people use that as an excuse. It doesn't matter whether he was having fun or not. It's still fucking work, my friend. You know? So, because it's out of people's price range and it's so rare and hard to get, all of a sudden they fucking bash it and hate it and say mean things about him. Then they start saying things like he's a racist, and they don't even know the guy. They never even fucking met him. They say all these fucking terrible things that you have no proof of. You know, and it just shows, to me, the more you bitch and moan, the more you really actually want the fucking book. You know? With Opus X, they are very hard to get. Now, again, you can get them on the internet more easily these days, but they're very expensive on the internet. They're not supposed to be priced that high. I'll talk about that in 1 second. But due to the rarity and demand for these cigars, bad business practices can arise. For one thing, all cigar shops have regulars, okay? And the regulars, you know, it's not so much a bad business practice. That we used to do it. Regulars get first dibs. Basically, Opus X comes in and we have a list. And on that list we have a bunch of names. And for these people, they make requests and we stash away some Opus so they have some. Then the rest goes out in the humidor to the public. The bad thing about this is that the public can often get nothing. With us, we had a rule, basically. At one point, the Opus list got to be over 100 people. And that's when we said that's enough. First of all, we told people we're cutting the list. There's only going to be 50 people. You know, so you can see how it really creates some tension. You know, people can end up saying, well, fuck you, I'm not coming back to your shop. You know, but you got to be fair. We would never sell a whole box to one guy. That's one thing. You know, for our best customers, we may say, all right, we'll save you 10 cigars of the best shapes, whatever. But you at least want to have a few boxes that can go out to the public. A lot of cigar shops don't do this. They'll never, no cigars will be offered to the public. Then on top of that, the ones that are, there's gouging involved. You know, you'll go in a shop and see, you know, $60 for a Fuente A size. A Fuente A size used to cost $34, and that's when taxes were at their highest where I live. Taxes recently on cigars have been dropped lower than they were. But, you know, a lot of times in shops they'll never even hit the shelf. And it would, like I said, it would be easy to call them scum, except there are, you know, you do got to take care of your customers. So there's different outlooks on that practice. The way I look at it is this: you do have to take care of your customers, the guys who are there every day. You know, the second thing is that you do have people who've only been into it for a month or so, and then people who are just, you know, like hoarders and collectors. They'll come in. If you put all the Opus out, you'll have a guy there who will buy every box because he knows he can resell them. You know, which is unfair to the people who want to smoke them. We used to say at our shop, you can always tell a noob from a guy who walks in and goes, "Is there any Opus X?" And you say no, and they walk out. Come on, man. You know, That's bullshit. There's no Opus X, so what? You're not going to smoke a fucking cigar now because there's no Opus X? Bullshit. Second problem is gouging. Like I said, people think Opus X cigars are very overpriced. The truth is, they're not. For what they are, they're not, or at least they shouldn't be. The MSRP on smaller sizes of Opus starts around $7. The little teeny number 4s, 5s, those are like $7 to $8, you know? But often you'll walk into a shop and see Opus number 4s for $15, $16 a pop. That's bullshit. And the reason that happens is because the retailer knows they only come out once, twice a year, whatever, and they know that there's plenty of time to sell the few boxes that they just got in. Why not make a quick buck off of it? They're gonna sell eventually, so they overprice the fucking things. You see the same thing on the internet. When I worked at the shop, we never did this. We set them basically at the prices that Fuente said to set them at. You know, and that's one thing I respect about you know, the boss, that he never gouged people. He was never the type to nickel and dime, you know. And I was on one internet site today, and I looked up some Opus prices, and I usually go by the Opus A. Why? Because it's one of the rarer ones, so it tends to be overpriced more often. And it's one that I always remember the price of, which used to be $34. It's a 9-inch big cigar, comes in its own coffin, and it used to cost $34. So anything else is under that. You know, that's the most expensive Opus cigar that you can get, that comes in a box to a retailer anyway. Forget BBMFs, all that. Those don't come in boxes to retailers. They just don't. So most sizes tap off at around 15 to 18 bucks. If you go to cigarsdirect.com, which I was going to say before when I was saying sites have Opus, I don't want to recommend them because while they do, check out the A size. $75 a pop they want for the A size Opus. That's fucking nuts. That's nuts. You're basically selling them all, and they're out of stock right now. I mean, which means people bought them for $75 a pop. That's a $30 cigar. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. You know, so look out for that. Make sure you know your prices. Don't assume that the high price is the right price because it's a rare cigar. You know, come on, man. The truth is that they're fucking gouging. And that's that, you know. And like I said, $34, that was the highest it ever was back in 2011 when taxes were really high here. So it's even less now. You know, anyway, right, anyway, Cigars Direct, fucking shame on you, man. Shame, $75 for an Opus A, shame on you. Shame on you. I hope that's not copyrighted by like Channel 2 or whatever it is. Anyway, I don't think they'll see it. So anyway, all this causes the problem that many people, you know, get upset about availability and prices, etc., and therefore get angry at Fuente, you know. And anger is truly misdirected in this case. If anything, I write, it should be, you know, directed at places like Cigars Direct, or the retailer that fucking, you know, keeps them locked away and sells them on the down low for twice the price they should be to people he knows are like newbies. Really bad practices I've witnessed. So, hoarding cigars and charging double is fucking wrong. It's wrong. It's very wrong. Should not be done. And it's done by a lot of Cuban vendors with current Cuban cigars as well. But we don't have much of a fucking choice when it comes to that, do we? So the anger is often misdirected. You have to understand, good cigar, bad cigar, you love the cigar, you hate the cigar. The long short of it is, the short long of it is, the cigar is very rare in general. It's very hard to grow wrapper leaf in the Dominican Republic. A lot goes into creating the cigar, you know, and with the reputation it's built for itself, you know, Fuente can only be proud. It can only be proud. Like I just said, the prices shouldn't be as high as they usually are. And you know what? If you think $20 for a double Corona is too much to pay for a cigar, well, you know what? there are a lot of cigars out there that have prices $15 to $20 for their cigars. I don't really understand. If you look at Fuente from the perspective of the proper manufactured suggested prices, they're not that much higher than all the other cigars that are available. And those are cigars that are available year round, you know? Coming to the end of our cigar here. A lot of flavor now. Very strong. Really opened up. I know this episode is very long, but I really wanted to tell the Fuente story with all the details I could. Of course, if you're not interested, you could just not watch it. So I figured, let me tell everything I know about this. There is one viewer email I want to get into, and then we're going to just wrap it up with a final rating. Like I said, after the episode, I want to just show something special to top the whole thing off. But what I'm going to do is include that part in the cigar collectibles category. So if you wish to see that, it'll be the next video uploaded, so you can just look on the timeline of recently uploaded videos, but it will be under cigar collectibles. That being said, Fuente is an amazing brand. They're 100 years old from when Arturo first opened up his first factory. They've been through the mill as far as, you know, fire after fire and, you know, rebellion, wars in the middle of jungles, and just all sorts of shit to come to where they are now. With Opus X, you know, in a lot of ways, it was based on just these snap decisions that if they did it any other way, it might have never happened. There is a little bit of luck involved, but usually there always is when a company gets this big and this well known. The Opus X cigar, while legendary, it's still a standard production cigar. It's produced every year, as much as possible. Some years things happen. There was one year where it wasn't produced because they couldn't get enough wrapper for whatever reason. That's how the Añejo was born, but that's another story. There was even one year when I was working at the cigar shop, 2012, where we didn't get any Opus and called up to find out what happened, and apparently there had been another fire, and that was 2012. So the company has been plagued by things like this, yet they still pull through. They're a great company. You know, since the release of the Opus, they have released several special variations on the cigar. Forbidden X, which is basically fermented a little differently. They use oak barrels or something special like that. There's the Lost City. There's the new Angel's Share. You know, a lot of different stuff like that. And then they have some other specialty cigars that are Gran Aniversario. All these cigars, I'll tell you, but they're all another story. And of course, the new Destino al Siglo celebrating their 100th anniversary. A great brand. And it just so happens that, you know what? They made a great cigar, and yeah, they can cash in on it. But it is, by all standards, really, really good tobacco, and it's hard stuff to come by. And not a lot of other companies out there can grow anything like it. And like I told you before, it's not supposed to be as expensive as it sometimes appears to be. Sure, big specialty shapes are expensive, but they always are. You got to look at it this way. When you go buy Cuban cigars, like you want a box of Cohiba 1966, holy shit, man, 10 cigars, $500, $600. You know, a box of Monte Cristo 2 Grand Reserve is $1,500. You know, these are not Cuban cigars, but they are some of the finest cigars in the world. You know, and as far as Dominican cigars go, they really are among the best. I'm a little biased in the way, and I try not to consider this, you know, and pay attention to myself in this matter. But first and foremost, I'm a Habanos guy. And then I love Nicaraguan cigars. And then I like Dominican cigars. And Fuente is one of the few companies that make my Dominican regular list, because they really do make great cigars. They're not the most expensive cigars in the world. You want to buy a BBMF? Yeah, it's going to cost you fucking $7,500 or whatever it is. But, you know, that's a specialty shape. So anyway, great story. Very good cigar. Turned out to be a very good cigar, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Let me get to this one viewer email, because it really represents a portion of the populace out there and how they see. So, Nick, Joe, I'm hoping that Arturo Fuente is coming soon. I've been to Ybor City on several occasions and met the Fuentes. I'm still trying to figure out the connection between families. Arturo Jr. has a shop there, Tampa Sweethearts, and it seems, maybe it's just me, that he harbors some discontent with Carlos. I've spoken to others in the industry and they don't want to discuss it much. I was smoking cigars before the Opus was released and remember how customer-oriented they were back then. Now they seem to be a very pretentious company, raping customers with super exclusive releases that, in my honest opinion, are overpriced and are overrated and outrageously priced. I commented back to that, and it's so funny. He made this comment as I was working on the Arturo Fuente episode, and when he wrote this comment, I said, "Yeah, this is something that a lot of people think out there, you know." But I'm working on the episode, and I hope that after you watch it, maybe I'll change your feelings a little bit. Number one, if you know the whole Fuente story and everything, you know, first of all, I always say you got to consider when the Opus was created and what an amazing cigar it was when it was created. That's how it got its name. 1995, there was nothing else like it, nothing, you know, and it comes out. Sure, you know what, the company got really, really famous. Any company that gets that big is going to cash in on their main flagship line. They're going to make other versions of it and upgrade it. Look at Apple. They come out with, you know, from the iPhone. Now they're like 70 iPhones later. To me, they're all the fucking same. I don't know why people keep buying the fucking thing over and over again. I just don't. And I'm a tech guy. I just don't. I'm not going to get into that. But I just do not fucking get that. I mean, you know, oh, they make the screen fucking millimeter bigger and 2 pixels clearer, and people rush in and spend $600 to get a new one. Get the fuck out of here. All companies do that kind of thing. As far as customer orientation goes, I've met Carlito, you know, I've met Cynthia Fuente, I've met some of the other representatives, Suarez, when he was working for them, and I've never met Arturo Jr., but all of those people have been nothing but nice. You know, they come in the shop, they treat everybody like a human being, you know. To me, they've never acted like they're, you know, above and beyond everybody else there. They hand out cigars, not only to the guys working there, but to the people in the lounge who are just sitting around. You know, it's good business to do stuff like that. Most cigar companies do that. Most. Some don't. Some are real assholes, believe it or not. But as far as from what I've seen, it's always been good. When it comes into stuff like, okay, between Arturo and Carlos, let me light this thing. My nub went out, and now I'm pissed.